Come on in, welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about Survivor's Ballsiest, Idle Holds. There's got to be a better way to phrase that, but I couldn't think of one. You know what I mean though. It's the opposite of an incredible idle play, when someone successfully sits on their immunity idol and opts not to play it, making it through a tense vote where their name is being thrown around. Excuse the mixed metaphors, but the absolute balls it takes to look down the barrel of a gun and not play your get out of jail free card is arguably just as impressive from a gameplay standpoint as successfully playing your idol, and both require incredible reads on the situation at hand to pull off. So today, let's take a look at what I consider the ballsiest idle holds of all time. The times when we were screaming at the TV to just play the idol, but they didn't. All that said, let's take a look at the ballsiest idle sits of all time.
Please play your idol, please.
At number 5 is Jeremy at the final 12 of Survivor Cambodia. Wentworth rightfully gets a ton of credit here for her great idol play, but Jeremy playing things cool deserves a lot of props. At the final 12 of Cambodia, there are two alliances. The Witches' Coven, consisting of Kelly Wentworth, Sierra, and Abby, and everyone else. Before Tribal, the Witches have been imploring members of the main alliance to make a big move against anyone, but they're repeatedly stonewalled, especially after target du jour Joe wins immunity. Tempting Steven with a Joe boot was about their only prayer in the world. At Tribal, Sierra begs the bottom feeders on the majority alliance, Kimmy, Keith, Spencer, to make a big move against the power players, and Wentworth straight up says they're going to be targeting one of the core members of that alliance. Jeremy, Savage, and Tasha are all mentioned by name. Out of fear of a potential flip from skittish players, the majority decline to split their votes and put all 9 of their votes on Kelly Wentworth, who plays her idol. Think of this from Jeremy's point of view. He knows his alliance just had 9 votes negated, and that his fate is now in the hands of 3 people he considers his enemies. He knows he's been called out as one of the core members of the alliance, and he knows they're targeting one of the core members because they said so. The absolute stones to sit on his idol still. Incredible read. He trusted in his relationship with Kelly, the animosity between the Witches and Savage and Tasha, and his own meat shield strategy, propping up and aligning with other big players so he can hide behind them, to get him through a round where only 2 votes had the power to send him home. Ultimately, Savage cops the 3 votes from the Witches and is sent to the jury, where his luggage was presumably mixed up with a 16-year-old boy's from 2007. At number 4 is Christina holding her immunity idol at Survivor Redemption Island's first tribal council. As the only new players on the Ometepe tribe who hadn't recently undergone full frontal lobotomies, Christina and Francesca were on the outs early, outnumbered 7-2 against Rob's zombies. They have an ace in the hole though, Christina's immunity idol she found on day 2. Christina and Francesca quickly see the numbers creeping away from them, but they mistakenly believe that Philip is also on their side, probably due to their matching underwear. This would prove to be a fatal error. As a sign of trust, Christina shows Philip the idol to get him on side, and she says she intends to use it at the first tribal council to idol out Rob. Christina's a bold player as well, and I totally would buy that she'd play her idol for Franny or Philip if she thought they were the ones in trouble. At Tribal, however, Philip ruins everything, particularly Francesca's name.
Francesca.
He blows things up, telling Rob their entire plan and giving away that Christina has an immunity idol. From Christina's point of view, her entire game plan was completely thrown out the window, but she successfully reads that Rob's alliance will cater to Philip's whims and vote out Francesca over her. What puts this over the top for me into super impressive territory though is that at Tribal, Rob busts out his first power play of the season, telling Christina she can only make it through the first vote if she gives her idol to him, which she declines to do. She knows Rob is a with me or against me kind of player, so to decline his generous offer only widens the target on her back. The vote comes down to the wire, but Francesca goes home 4-3-2, making her idol sit even crazier. Christina actually was Rob's target this episode, but she banked on and was saved by Philip's sudden hatred of and stray vote for Francesca. Pardon me, Francesca.
Francesca.
At number 3 are Wentworth and Lauren holding their idols in Survivor Edge of Extinction, like literally every vote. Lauren and particularly Wentworth both deserve major credit for surviving several votes where they would be fully justified in playing idols this season. Almost every tribal council they attend, one or both of their names are brought up as potential targets, and at most of them, they cop at least a few votes. At Final 13, post-swap Manu and Lesu have to attend a joint tribal council and vote off one player. On Lesu, you have an uneasy foursome of original Manu, Wentworth, Lauren, Wardog, and David. And on Manu, you have 3 original Kama players and original Manu outcast, Wendy. Are you following this? The votes end up 4-4 on Lauren and Wendy respectively, but Wardog successfully bets that in a revote, the Kama members won't go to rocks for Wendy. Lauren knew she was most likely the target and knew there was a non-zero chance David flips, but still sat on her idol in a tie vote that went to a revote, making her only the second person ever to hold an idol through a revote and survive. We'll get to number 1 soon. Additionally, the second round after the merge is an insanely impressive hold from both Lauren and Wentworth. This merge was not great for the former members of Manu, the little tribe that couldn't. This fractured fivesome couldn't work together if their lives depended on it, and the Kama 6 plus Aurora seemed like an impenetrable block. Those 7 plus Rick and David are pretty set on splitting the votes between Wentworth and Lauren, which would require both of them to burn their idols just to make it through one round. However, most of the Kama 6 end up splitting their votes last minute and joining Wentworth's alliance to vote off Eric, one of the Kama leaders. Still, it would have been very easy for Wentworth and Lauren to believe that Kama was simply BSing them, and that the Eric vote was all smoke and mirrors. Honestly, Lauren and Kelly holding their idols through the entire pre-merge and early merge portion of EOE is incredible, and you could easily also cite Lauren's hold at the first Rick boot, or both of their holds at the incredibly chaotic Joe boot here, too. And the constant idol sits are made even more impressive by the fact that Wardog was their primary strategic partner. Imagine putting your fate in the Wardog's hands. At number 2 is Ty holding his idol at the final 7 of Survivor Game Changers. Ty is the king of idol holds and has tons of them. This same round in Survivor Korong is another great read on his part, but the Game Changers Final 7 was one of the most chaotic tribals in an already chaotic season. He was being targeted and he knew it, and he had 2 idols with only 3 rounds left to play them. During this round, Suri gets the idea that Ty is actually the biggest threat left in the game and wants to take him out. Meanwhile, Suri also has Sarah's steal a vote advantage on lone, given to her as a sign of trust. At Tribal, Suri way overthinks this round and gets too cute by half, and tries to use Sarah's own advantage to steal Sarah's vote to put 2 votes on Ty. An odd attempt on her behalf to actually save Sarah from Ty, because Sarah didn't believe Suri's narrative that Ty is the biggest threat in the game. Those 2 votes, along with Michaela and Aubrey's votes, would be enough to send Ty home. Unfortunately, Suri forgot to read the fine print and embarrasses herself at Tribal Council when Sarah points out the advantage is non-transferable, and so after much whispering, Sarah uses her advantage and steals Ty's vote. So, all that to say, Ty knew he was in the crosshairs this round. He just saw Tribal Council descend into chaos. He knew he just had his vote stolen, usually a pretty solid sign that you're a target, and he knew he had 2 idols and 3 rounds left to use them. Ty's like the guy at work who refuses to use his vacation hours all year, then cashes in a month off in December. Ultimately, Sarah joins up with Brad and Troyzan to vote out Michaela here to weaken Suri, I think. This round was kind of weird. But Ty's banking on the chaos to get him through this round showed an absurd amount of courage when just about any name could have come out of that urn. Except his. No one even remembered he was in the game. The ballsiest idol sit of all time is Marty at the final 15 of Survivor Nicaragua. Post-swap LaFleur was not a good swap draw for Marty and Jill. Already outnumbered by original LaFleur 5-3, Marty and Jill's third original Espada member was Jane, a woman who genuinely hated Marty and had some choice words for him, too.
Mr. Farty is going to be his name from now on instead of Marty.
Wow, hope I don't get demonetized for that one. Most of post-swap LaFleur's gameplay is baffling, starting with their initial stroll back into camp after swapping, when Marty announces he has an idol and hangs it on a tree in a bizarre show of trust to OG LaFleur, or power, maybe? Why did he do this? In episode 6, both tribes are sent to tribal council, but given the opportunity to earn individual immunity, which Jill wins, throwing a wrench in original LaFleur's plan to join forces with Jane and split votes 3-3 between Marty and Jill. Marty tries his best to scramble and get a vote onto Jane, and heading into tribal council, he believes the vote is between Jane and himself. But it isn't. LaFleur are splitting votes between Marty and their own original Alliance member Kelly B, who was on the bottom of the pecking order. At Tribal, Brenda completely blows up Marty's plan by announcing to Jane that Marty was coming after her, confirming to him that the original LaFleur are now fully in with Jane and buying her vote with this information. Marty and Jill even throw their votes away at this point, putting 2 votes on Brenda in protest. So let's recap. Marty knows he's on the bottom, he knows the only other target of the majority is immune, he knows Jane isn't with him, and he knows he's thrown his vote away. And yet he still sits on his idol, ties 3-3-2 with Kelly B, and in a revote, LaFleur sends Kelly home instead of him. There's only one reason this worked. That leg. That damn leg. This thing lived rent-free in LaFleur's head. From day one, LaFleur was obsessed with getting out Kelly B, both because they thought she would sweep a final 3 because of her missing leg, and because she was on the wrong side of this tribe's initial vote and never really recovered socially. LaFleur wasn't really sure where Kelly's loyalties lie, and so they decided to stick with the devil they know versus the devil they don't. Marty had just shown his whole hand here. Heck, he'd shown the entire deck. Still, I don't want to take away too much from Marty's read to not play the idol. Never has a vote been so stacked against someone who sat on their idol and somehow survived. I mean, how did he do it? My guess? He knew he was on a meme season, where nothing makes any sense. Got nothing else for ya. Don't sit on your idol, like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.